Now, Sunday on Twitch, I ended up doing a stream and I asked you guys, would you like to see more Berserk reviews? And the majority of you did say yes, we would very much like to see more Berserk reviews on your channel. So, I'm gonna give another video a shot. Thank you to everyone who ended up coming by the stream. By the way, it really does mean a lot. So if anybody doesn't know what exactly is going on with these types of videos, is that I'm going to be rereading Berserk Volumes 1 through 13, the ones that I currently own right now. Now, once I finish Volume 13 of Berserk, I will go out of my way to actually pick up the rest of the volumes. Now, I haven't read past Volume 13 of Berserk because I just can't with this series. I can't look up scans. Like, I need to get fully immersed with the series, and when it comes to me reading manga in general, if I want to go ahead and actually marathon a series, I have to have the physical copy. I can't just, scan late and read stuff online. I just don't have that type of attention span, to be honest with you. So, with that said, this is going to be some sort of experiment. We are going today be reviewing Volume 5 of Kentaro Miura's Berserk. Now, we're just going to see how well this return of my Berserk reviews ends up doing, and we'll just see where it goes from there. So, you know what? Let's try to aim for a like goal. Let's aim for a like goal today, and we'll just see how well this video ends up doing, and then if it ends up doing well, we will come out with more Berserk reviews in the near future. So today's like goal is going to be 10 likes. Let's try to aim for 10 likes, and if we get 10 likes, then I will definitely do more Berserk reviews of the manga in the near future. I'm probably going to end up reviewing this series regardless, to be honest with you, because I mean Berserk is one of my favorite mangas of all time. But you know what, let's just see how it does. So with that said, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Professor Anime coming back at you with another video. And in today's video, guys, we will be reviewing Kentaro Miura's Berserk Volume 5. So let's get this started. Now, in Volume 4 of Berserk, we end off with Guts going on his first mission with Griffith and the Band of the Hawk. Now, in Volume 5, we open up on that same mission that is being taken place, and Guts is taking up the rear. Now, if anything, Griffith entrusted Guts to become the decoy of this mission in order for the rest of the Band of the Hawk members to escape, and Griffith knows full well how capable of Guts is. However, Guts almost ends up getting caught up in the mess because there are multiple mercenary groups ended up coming after Guts alone, and we almost see Guts end up dying from this. He's not necessarily getting injured, but he is getting surrounded at this point. And we have it to where, Griffith ends up realizing that Guts hasn't made a return yet, so he ends up going back after Guts. Now, this is the part that's awesome. We get to see how Griffith is actually able to strategize in the heat of combat. Griffith is a very intelligent character, and because of this, this is why he has won so many battles, and his Band of the Hawk is very notorious to begin with. And when we see Griffith end up rescuing Guts in the woods to the point where Guts was almost surrounded by the other mercenary groups, once Griffith and Guts end up getting out of the woods, we see that the other mercenary members are cornered by the Band of the Hawk's cannons, and we just freaking see the cannons unload on them, dude. So the Band of the Hawk ends up winning the match, and we see it to where, the Band of the Hawk is now at their camping ground, and they are pretty much celebrating the victory that they just have accomplished. But there's one person specifically who isn't celebrating with the rest of the group and has completely isolated himself. And this is in fact Guts, and for good reason, especially what happened to him in the past, especially in Volume 4 of Berserk. Like, oh my god, Volume 4 of Berserk really made me just like, ugh. If anybody hasn't seen my Volume 4 review, definitely go check it out. But then we have it to where Ricket, Pippin, and Judo are, pretty much forcing Guts to celebrate with them. And, Guts, as the character that we know him as, he is not very willing to comply. But after, with a bunch of force, especially from the other Band of the Hawk members, Guts ends up complying and he ends up celebrating with them. We also get to see some interaction with Griffith and Guts in this volume as well for the first time, and we get to see how, trustworthy, Griffith is with Guts, and he's very friendly toward him, very friendly, and Guts is kind of like off-putted by this because he doesn't necessarily see anyone as a friend at this point. And this is where we also get to see Griffith show Guts his behelit. Now, we see Griffith show Guts his behelit that he ends up having, and he says that I ended up buying this from an old gypsy fortune teller long ago. The behelit, also called the egg of the king. You see, it's said that whoever possesses this is destined to obtain the world in exchange for his own flesh and blood. Now, at this point in time, we really do not know too much of the behelit and what exactly it is capable of. We just get a little hint in this volume of Berserk, and we got little hints of the behelit in the beginning volumes of Berserk, but just like Guts and Griffith, the reader of these first 5 volumes of Berserk doesn't really have a full understanding of what it's actually capable of, but that will be explained in the later volumes to come. Now, 3 years later down the line, we get to see that Guts is still with the Band of the Hawk. And during this time, I gotta say, man, Guts has gotten more buff, if I do say so myself. But, he has also become a leader to the Band of the Hawk. He is now a captain. Griffith has placed the title of captain within him, within the Band of the Hawk, and he has now undertaken at least 10 soldiers by himself. So at this point in time, we have it to where there are pretty much 3 main leaders to the Band of the Hawk. We have Griffith, Casca, and now Guts. Now, even though we know that Griffith has bestowed the title of captain to Guts and has bestowed him with his own little squadron of soldiers to attack in battles with, we still get to see the impulsive nature that Guts still carries, and that is him attacking head on with the rest of the group without having the rest of the group attack with him. And this ends up necessarily breaking formation. And when you end up breaking formation, this could end up producing casualties, especially in the heat of battle, especially if you act on your own accord. And you would think at this point in time, since Griffith is the leader of the Band of the Hawk, he would be mad. But nope. Griffith isn't mad at all, and neither are really the other members of the Band of the Hawk. If anything, they look up to Guts for actually, pretty much taking everyone head on, and as long as Guts ends up winning the victory for the Band of the Hawk, nobody has a problem with it. Even Griffith doesn't have a problem with it. However, there is one individual that is pretty much, livid at the whole situation, and that is Casca. And Casca, she sees the impulsivity of Guts within him, and she even, ends up breaking out in a fight with him to the point where she calls him a mad dog. And Guts, at this point, he's like, what did you just call me? Say that again. And we almost see like a fight break out between them. I mean, we do see, a dialogue confrontation break out, but nothing physical. But, then we have it to where Griffith ends up stopping the whole fight. But now we get to see that, Casca hasn't really had a very good outlook on Guts since the beginning of when they first met. And honestly, this isn't necessarily, anything that Guts has done wrong. It's mainly for the fact that, as we know, Casca, if we don't know already, that Casca has a somewhat of an emotional relationship with Griffith. She likes him. She looks up to him. Now, we don't know their past between one another yet, but we do get a feeling that, Casca is pretty much acting on her own accord just from the fact of jealousy between Guts and Griffith. Now, even though this whole fight ended up breaking out between Casca and Guts, we do in fact get to see that Guts has made a drastic change in his character. And he tells Casca that I'm not the way that I used to be. Sure, I did act out alone, but it was for the sake of my comrades. I actually do care about my comrades. And we're just like, as readers, we're like, what? Guts actually has made a change? Like, this is awesome, because we get to see that, you know, it's taking little by little, but over these past 3 years that Guts has remained in the Band of the Hawk, you know, he is actually having a good time and actually has developed relationships with the other Band of the Hawk members, and possibly even friends at this point. Now, with this battle that Griffith and the rest of the Band of the Hawk members end up winning, we see that the King of Midland is actually being protected by Griffith's Band of the Hawk at this point, and Griffith has become a very notorious, if not more notorious, mercenary group than he was previously, and the king has now bestowed upon him the title of a knight. Nosferatu Zodd. Nosferatu Zodd. That is all I'm going to say. Now, when it comes to, you know, this other battle that Guts and the rest of the Band of the Hawk members end up going in, we have it to where the opposing force has a really strong soldier named Zodd. Now, Zodd, come to find out, is apparently said to be an immortal being. So Griffith ends up sending at least 50 people within the castle that they are storming. However, Nosferatu Zodd is within there. And you would think that 50 people would be able to take down this soldier, this so-called immortal soldier. You know, you would just think that maybe, you know, it's a title of like someone who has, you know, gone through a battle unscathed at this point. But if you end up sending 50 soldiers against that one person, there is just no way that those 50 soldiers would end up losing. But we have it to where we see that Guts is completely enraged at the fact that they have sent up 50 people within the castle, and none of them have made it out alive. Until one individual ends up coming out, but we see that he is pretty much dead at this point. His whole rest of the half of his body has been completely ripped to shreds. We have like his ribs sticking out and everything, and you know, he ends up dying in Guts' hands. And this is at the point in time where, you know, Guts, you know, is going to show his impulsivity once again, attacking head on. So we have it to where Guts ends up going into the castle by himself. So Guts ends up going into the castle, and we see corpses upon corpses, blood and gore everywhere. Everywhere, dude. And then we get to see Zodd. Now, we see Zodd is not a soldier whatsoever. He is a completely supernatural entity, if you would go as far as to say that. He is pretty much a monster, and this is where we first get to see the supernatural, the physical supernatural end up happening within Berserk. I'm not gonna go too much on specifics on like any of the supernatural. Now, this is the point in time where we get to see the first physical supernatural happen in Berserk. Now, we see when Guts ends up coming into the castle, there are corpses upon corpses, blood and gore everywhere. It's just a complete bloodshed within the castle. And then we have it to where we see Zodd. Now, at first glance, you know, he is not a soldier whatsoever. He is actually a monster. And as I said, this is the first time where we see the physical supernatural happen in Berserk. Or that Guts ends up coming across his first confrontation with a supernatural entity. Now, when it comes to the battle between Zodd, Zodd almost ends up killing Guts at this point. Guts, you know, does pose a good fight, and Zodd even, you know, is very prideful at the fact that Guts was able to make a deep cut within him. You know, it was his first ever time being cut down by a mere human. But Guts doesn't stand a chance against Zodd. He really doesn't. Now, we have it at this point where Guts is almost being killed at this point, but then Griffith and the rest of the Band of the Hawk members end up coming in to save the day, but Griffith in the process almost ends up getting killed as well. But that is until Zodd ends up noticing something that piques his interest on Griffith's neck, and that is the behelit. And this is where we see Zodd, you know, go like, what? The egg of the king? What is this? A cub like him actually possessing something like this? And then he's like, Oh wait, it must be that kind of ploy. And then he looks at Guts and says, here's a word of warning. No, a prophecy. If you can be said to be a true friend of this man, which at this point in time, you could consider Guts to be a friend of Griffith at this point, then take heed. When his ambition collapses, death will pay you a visit, a death that you can never escape. And with that, this concludes Volume 5 of Berserk. And pretty much what we can gather at this point, at the end of this volume, is that what exactly is Zodd talking about when it comes to the Egg of the King? And he knows about the Behelots, and he also has bestowed a prophecy at this time. And Griffith and Guts are completely unaware of what he is talking about, just like us readers at this point, because at this point in time, we do not have a full understanding of what exactly the Behelot is capable of, and, you know, how exactly there are monsters in this series to begin with. Everything is still a mystery to us. And, you know, later down the line, these mysteries will end up being solved, but I will just say this. By the end of Volume 5, this, in fact, does foreshadow what Zodd says, certain events that will come later down the line in Berserk. But that's all I'm going to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on what you thought about this video, and do you want to see more Berserk reviews from me in the near future? And also, what did you think of this volume of Berserk? And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like. I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to stick up to my future content on this channel, please hit that red subscribe button below, and you will never miss a video from me. That about does it for this video, guys. I will catch you all in the next one. Have a great day.